review of this then. It's an immaculate... When I say immaculate, okay, it looks ludicrous because it's still got a yellow door, but it's got everything it came with in the first place, including its clip-on hose at the front. It has got its cover currently on the back. So with these Creda machines, and any Creda made machine pretty much made, you can either always vent it from the front, from there, or from the back. And trust me, it just clips on. So that, if you want to vent from the back, you take the hose out and you clip that over the top of that. And then you clip the rear of that onto the rear. But we won't do that today. The idea of this hose at the bottom being at the front, and obviously you can have it from the back as well. The idea is that you can put this, let's say a machine like this, under a kitchen counter and then vent it from the front through, let's say, a window without actually ever having to move the machine, and therefore you don't have to pull a hole through your wall. So if we look at the door, the only problem with the machine. So the door is a handle there, flick, it'll open up. However, it's not broken, but two bits are missing, broken off there. So your filter actually sits inside the door. It just lifts off and sits on those hooks. And then this is your filter. It's empty at the minute, but if you want to empty it, you pull it open from that clip there. Just pull it towards you. It is hard. It is quite stiff, and I'm wondering whether it's because it's just not been used. And it will eventually come into two bits. Just put the filter back in, you line it up, you've got two notches there, one there, one there, and then push in. Right, so your airflow comes from the back, through the drum, through the filter, in the door, and straight down there. Then we look inside, we've got this enamel painted drum. As you can see, there is hardly any paint flickered off, apart from maybe here. Actually, even that's not flickered off, it just doesn't look like, I don't think it's painted, because it's still smooth. How odd. Anyway, and then you've got these. Now these two bad boys are your sensors for your sensor drying. Right, so this is a bit of a marketing bump for this Creda 37569E. It's basically Creda Eco Dry series, economically eco-friendly. Fully automatic drying, saves 5p and 25 minutes for a typical load, compared and measured against a standard Creda dryer. So either that means it dries faster or simply dries 25 minutes quicker, simply because obviously you're not checking to make it sure it's dry. Or it sounds like people on average put their dryer on for 25 minutes more than they necessarily need. Maybe. Large 5 kilogram, 11 pound capacity size. That is true, they also made 4 kilogram ones as well for Indesit. Reverse air for faster, more even drying. It's reverse tumbling. Oh, and a free vent hose supplied. It was included, but of course it needed it as part of its kit. Right, Creda Sense Air Electronic. This means it's reverse tumbling. Made in the UK. It is. It was actually made in the Creda factory in Stoke. So we've got two lights here, EcoSense and Filter Care. EcoSense is your sensor tumble drying program. And whilst it's in this mode, it will light this light. Filter Care appears when the cycle is finished to remind you to empty the filter. It'll come up then. It'll also come up if you think it when it's just completely blocked. You've got a button here, buzzer, push in, and you turn the buzzer off. leave it out, and you've got the buzzer on. But the buzzer only works during the crease care stage of the cycle. And then you've got your timings, drying guide in minutes. So we've got EcoSense for cottons, synthetics and acrylics. Quite odd really, because there's no high or low heat, which is quite odd. But and then you got 1 kilo, 25 to 35, and then 2 kilo, 3 kilo, and 5 kilo. However, and this is what I'm going to show you. So my question is, how do you do acrylics when there's no low heat setting? Yeah, you've only got 30 minutes on the dial. But it is quite ingenious, this. So you do have other Creda dryers that do have sensor drying, but they only have one sensor program. This one has variable sensor program, and I mean variable. Can you hear that click? So right now it is actually at very dry because there's no moisture. However, as moisture increases, this click will actually start coming down here more. So anyway, we can set all the way down to damp, which of course is iron dry. And then you've got variable all the way up to dry. I think dry is more like, well, to be honest, more like cupboard extra dry. Very, 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 very dry, basically. Right, this dial is pretty cool, actually. I'm going to open the door, otherwise it will activate the timer straight away. So we've got 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's delay in hours. So if you want to delay the start of the cycle, you can by simply turning the dial, and obviously leaving the door, and then leave the door shut, and it will start. And it will start a delay timer from 8 hours downwards. Obviously, of course, you can have 7 hours, 6 hours, 5 hours, 4 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour, and then eventually it will go on to E, which is your eco drying, EcoSense drying as well program. However, if you don't want EcoSense drying and you're drying a small load, the EcoSense might not work with a small load. So you can select up to 30 minutes, but this is 30 minutes of actual hot air. 10 minutes is 10 minutes hot air followed by the 10-minute cool down. So actually 30 minutes is actually 40 minutes on a normal tumble dryer. So we've got 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 10, and then it gets to cool down. That will run for 10 minutes, and then it will go to crease care, and then it seems to take an eternity for it to actually finish from crease care to 0. I say eternity, I think it's more like half an hour. And in that time, the buzzer will go off. When it gets to 0, the buzzer will stop, and so will the entire machine. That is off. That is proper off as well. There's no electricity going to it at that point. Right. Also, this will just click in very easily. Like that. It's thick, nice clicks like you do on the actual washers on the Aquarius timer. Not so much on the 9.5 timers, but on the Aquarius timers, they clicked in rather well. Same with the Creda washers as well. They did them as well. They just clicked in. Or maybe not as much. Actually, just really does, this actual timer, it really is an Aquarius timer. Like, that feel of an Aquarius timer, it's really, really nice. But actually, what you can do is select in between. So you don't actually have to have 1 hour or 2 hours. You can have, like, say, half an hour. It'll eventually move on. Counting down. Same with the minutes. You can have 30 minutes, but you can have in between if you want. And start it from there. But it doesn't really click into place, so that makes sense. There is a click, but it's very, very smooth. Very mild. It's not positive. Not like when you actually hit 20, for example. 10. Cool. So, anyway. Alright, we're going to set it up then. We've got a bunch of towels here. Probably got about 3 kilo of them. So to demonstrate how dry they get, I'm going to set this slightly less, and then I'm going to select the time delay to 1 hour. let's take a look at results. Now, you can't see through this door now. So, we're going to empty the filter. We're going to lift it up. Pull this apart. And now we've got a nice... There's quite a lot there. And we're going to put this back in. The right way round. Right, so we're going to put this back on, hook this back over on the door. And now you can see through the holes. How cool is that? Anyway, they are still damp. Now, I'm wondering whether it's because as it sensed it right, or is it just simply because this just isn't set to dry? Was it because the filter filled up too quickly? Because there's a lot of fluff there, considering that they're not actually fully dry. Okay, so what am I actually going to give this out of 10 then? Well, I think that filter obviously fills up too quickly and then it stops the sensor drying. Maybe that was the issue. So in that case, this gets a 7 out of 10. Personally, I think if you're drying a more reasonable load that isn't going to have as much fluff, like I did with bedding, it dried perfectly fine. A load of bedding actually only took about 40 minutes to dry as well, so it doesn't take that long to dry. However, like with a load of towels like this, it looks like if they're too fluffy, it will end up like that. It will stop drying. So there we go. Other than that, this dryer is one of those dryers that was too very, very advanced for its age. And I'm actually quite surprised, like I said earlier on, that the sensor drying is still working. It does work, and it does work well. And the buzzer's still working too. And it's in a pretty good condition for its age. Right. I do actually like the dryer. I just think that obviously the filter can restrict the moisture sensing on the sensor. So, but then it doesn't really make any sense either, since the moisture sensor is on the actual dryer drum. Bit of an odd one, that. Unless it aborted it because of filter care, which is there's a sensor after the filter where it will just abort it to cool down whenever it decides that it thinks that that filter is too full. I think that's what's genuinely happened. Bit of an odd one. Right, I'm going to put this back on to dry again. But you won't see that. Thanks for watching this review, and I'll see you in another video. See you again soon.